In the heart of war-torn 16th century Japan, at the height of an era defined by swords and shifting loyalties, an outsider arrived. A man of foreign skin, from a foreign soil, with a foreign story. Yet, among the samurai, he stepped into legend. He carried no map to this place. He held no expectation of honor. And still, he rose. This is the story of the man history almost forgot, the black samurai Japan tried to erase. His name, yes, our journey begins far from the shores of Japan, across vast, unforgiving seas. The records of his early life are fractured, with gaps swallowing any certainty. Scholars suggest he may have come from Mozambique, or perhaps the broader lands the Portuguese called the Indies. What we do know is that around 1579, he arrived in Japan alongside the Jesuit missionary Alessandro Vat. Imagine the scene, a tall man of dark skin stepping onto Japanese soil where few, if any, had ever seen someone like him. When he entered the capital, Kyoto, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Crowds pressed forward, a wave of human curiosity, just to catch a glimpse of this stranger. The commotion reached the ears of one of Japan's most powerful warlords, Oda Nobunaga, who demanded to meet him. What was it that drew Nobunaga's attention? Was it Yasuke's sheer physical presence, his height, his strength, or was it simply the audacity of fate, bringing a foreign warrior to his doorstep? Historical accounts say Nobunaga was so stunned, he refused to believe Yasuke's skin was natural. He made him strip and scrubbed him, convinced he was covered in ink. But the darker his skin remained, the more astonished the warlord became. And right then, Nobunaga granted him a place at his side. In 1581, this relationship was formalized. Nobunaga gave Yasuke a stipend, a residence, and a weapon. He bestowed upon him the instruments of status, a sword, recognition, a home. But what did this truly mean? Was Yasuke simply a spectacle, a curiosity brought to court to amuse the powerful? Or did he earn his place in the world of warriors? Evidence suggests the latter. The warlord was said to have described him as having the strength of 10 men. Records show him accompanying Nobunaga and his son on inspection tours, walking as part of their official retinue. The diary of one vassal, dated May 11, 1582, notes, Nobunaga-sama was accompanied by a black man. His body was black like ink. His name was said to be Yasuke. This was not a man hidden away. He was present, a living, breathing anomaly. Yet, despite his visibility, his story began to slip between the cracks of history. In a land where honor and identity were tightly bound by birth and lineage, he was a nameless man given a Japanese name. Navigating the rigid world of the samurai, belonging to no clan by blood. The debate continues whether he was a true samurai or simply a retainer. But what truly matters is this: he stood at Nobunaga's side when the fate of Japan trembled. And tremble it did. Japan in the late 16th century was chaos incarnate. Warlord Nobunaga was forging an empire from the ashes of centuries of war, shattering rival clans and toppling old orders. This was the turbulent world Yasuke entered, a world where being a warrior meant facing death at any moment. On June 21, 1582, everything changed. In what became known as the Honnoji Incident, Nobunaga was betrayed by one of his own generals, Akechi Mitsuhide, at a temple in Kyoto. Nobunaga's power, his ascendancy, his dream of a unified Japan all ended in fire and betrayal. And Yasuke was there. He fought alongside Nobunaga and his son, Oda Nobutada. But they were overwhelmed. Nobunaga committed seppuku, followed by his son. The future of Japan shifted in a single night. Records indicate that after the battle, Yasuke was captured by Akechi's men. But rather than being executed, he was handed over to the Jesuits, supposedly because he was not Japanese. And then, the trail goes cold. Yasuke disappears from history. No clear records of his life after this event. No definitive account of his death. No tomb, no proclamation. Just silence. Why does this matter? Why does a figure like Yasuke matter beyond the novelty of a black samurai? Because his story challenges so many of our narratives about race, belonging, identity, and exclusion. Think about it. A man of African descent rises to a position of honor in feudal Japan, fights for a powerful lord, stands at the threshold of history, and then quietly vanishes. What forces conspired to make someone disappear from the record? In his lifetime, he was known. The official chronicles of Nobunaga's reign described him as robust, strong, and black over his whole body, just like an ox. Yet, after the Honoji incident, his name fades. His memory dims. Was this a deliberate erasure? Or was his place in history never fully rooted? To be part of something, and then to be disappeared. To fight, to serve, to belong, and then to vanish. It is this tension between presence and absence that gives his story its power. There are several reasons why Yasuke's memory may have been suppressed or simply neglected. First, his foreignness. Feudal Japan was a society deeply rooted in ancestry and a strict idea of what it meant to be Japanese. A tall, dark-skinned foreigner defied every expectation. To remember him later may have been inconvenient for a national story built around native authority. Second, the chaos of the era itself. The 16th century was a war zone. Documents were lost, castles were destroyed, and vast portions of history simply vanished. The fact that we have any record of him is remarkable. And finally, history is often written by the winners. Nobunaga's successors, the Tokugawa shogunate, sought to build a unified, isolationist narrative of Japanese identity. A foreign warrior at the heart of such a story may have been overlooked or deemed unimportant. But centuries later, Yasuke's story has reawakened. He has transformed from an academic footnote into a cultural icon, appearing in anime, video games, and books. His narrative resonates with timeless themes of otherness, struggle, and triumph. Imagine living a life of service, only to have the world you helped build collapse. Your name drown in silence, your memory left to whispers. And then, centuries later, your story is uncovered raw and powerful. So here's the reveal. The story of the Black Samurai is not just a legend for entertainment. He was a real man who navigated impossible circumstances, served a warlord in Japan's most violent era, and then vanished. When we say history tried to erase him, we mean that we don't know his full story. We don't have his tomb, we only have fragments. And fragments are vulnerable, easily discarded and forgotten. But the fact that we're telling his story now that we remember him is a victory. Yasuke stood in full armor, sword at his side, among men who looked nothing like him, in a world that could have easily turned its back on him. And though his end is unrecorded, his memory endures. He became a pioneer, the first of his kind, in a culture that assumed he could not exist. And that is why his story matters. Let his story remind you. Our past is full of lost voices, but our present is full of found ones. Our future is what we choose to remember. Because memory is resistance. Memory is restoration. It's about honoring the invisible and the forgotten. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more journeys into the forgotten corners of history. We'll see you next time.